Alright, we're in the secret bunker, and by the secret bunker, I mean the master closet. I got a video from Hayes. Man, I wish I remembered your name, I'm sorry. But asking, what's the difference, why is 556 better than 223 Remington? 5.56 by 45 millimeter. Well, I'm going to try and be as quick and painless with this as possible. There's lots of dissertation on this on the internet and here on YouTube by people who are far smarter than I am. But I'm going to let you know what I know. I'm going to try and convey that as easily as possible. Okay. 223 Remington is the civilian chambering, and I believe it was the original chambering for the MSR style modern sporting rifle AR-15 Armalite rifle 15 in 223 Remington. That round was eventually adopted by NATO as the 5.56 by 45 millimeter, much like the 308 Winchester was adopted as 7.62 by 51 millimeter, and on and on and on. So the millimeter designation 5.56 by 45 millimeter is for the NATO standard round, of which this is one. This is a 62 grain M855 steel penetrator round, steel core penetrator round, versus this, which is a 55 grain 223. This is a Federal. You see the case stamping on there. I don't know if y'all can. No, probably not. Okay, doesn't really matter. But as far as case size, case length, projectile size, projectile length, case pressure, they are practically identical. However, so you see the green tip, the 62 grain M855, then the 55 grain next to it, and this is not a scientific review, okay? So there are other people you can go to for that. But here's the thing. You should not chamber a 5.56 round in a 223 chamber, .223. And there are lots of people to tell you it's okay. But the standard accepted answer here is that a weapon chambered in 223 Remington will not chamber the 5.56 by 45 millimeter because that is just a little bit longer, I believe. Just a little bit longer than the 223 Remington. However, the 223 Remington will fit into a 5.56 by 45 millimeter chamber. So you can run 223 or 5.56 in a 5.56 gun. I've done it many, many, many times, and I've never had a problem with it. You cannot run 5.56 in a 223 gun, which is why I made the comment that 5.56 is preferred. The chambering in 5.56 for your modern sporting rifle is preferred in an SHTF scenario because you'll have more ammo available to you. For scavenging or trading or whatever, the ability to be able to shoot 5.56 and 223 out of the same rifle is a clear win over being limited to 223 only. There are cajillions of these rounds on planet Earth. I mean, I don't know what the total number of these rounds are, but I would say it's probably approaching the trillions of these rounds. That could be wrong, but there's a lot of them. If not trillions, definitely billions. So, what's the likelihood that you're going to have to scavenge rounds? I have no idea. That depends on you and your situation. I'm not depending on it. I'll put it that way. I'm not depending on having to scavenge ammo. But if you did, the ability to fire 5.56 or 223 from your chamber would be a clear benefit than being limited to 223 only. And let's just say there's an occupying force and they're, a NATO force, and they're running a 5.56 platform. Their rounds will fit in your magazine and fire from your weapon in your chamber. So the 5.56 is also commonly considered to be less accurate than the 223, with the 223 Wild being the most accurate of chambers because of the tolerances. The 5.56, generally speaking, has looser tolerances in the chamber, which provide slightly less accurate groupings at 100 meters. Right? Number one, every gun is an individual. Number two, every shooter is an individual. Number three, every round is an individual. So I can tell you, with this weapon, this steel core penetrator round, 62 grain, my gun that I carry regularly, that's, my go-to rifle, AR platform. You can go back and look at my recce rifle vid if you're wondering what that is. It's also prominently displayed in the chest rig vid and the long range bug out system part 2 vid. But that gun will shoot this into about 1.5 inch group at 100 meters. This is not the most accurate ammunition because the steel cores are not necessarily centered. They're not dead center every time. Sometimes a little over here, a little over here, and that can cause the round to do a little bit of this in the air as it's flying. Paul Harrell, you can look him up on YouTube, has a very good discussion video about this round, the 62 grain penetrator round. So it's not the most accurate round, and it's really not terribly good at penetrating either. But what it is readily available and not very expensive. But it will hit a man-sized target at 100 meters. As long as you're doing your job, it'll do its job. This is a 55 grain 223 Remington round. Standard, prior to GWOT, Global War on Terror, I believe it was the standard go-to M16 M4 platform round. And there's a lot of people that say, well, it's just not enough. Well, what's his face from Thunder Ranch, Clint, is like, I'm not going to use all the words Clint uses, but what he says is he's never shot anybody with that round and then looked at it on the floor and thought, oh wow, I'd like to take their place. And that's a very good way to put it. It gets the job done, especially 300 meters and in. And you should, as a caveat, by the way, easily be able to engage man-sized targets out to 300 meters with open sights. And if you don't have open sights on your modern sporting rifle, you should have open sights on your modern sporting rifle. If they're Magpul M-Bus backup sights, I'm cool with that. Flip up irons, whatever. But the lowest common denominator on a rifle is open sights, iron sights. You need to be able to shoot your weapon with iron sights. Then if you want to put an optic on it, go for it. No, I will not recommend an optic. I'm not a terribly big fan of dot sights. I've said that before in other videos. I prefer a low power scope for CQB / reaching out and touching somebody. But irons are just fine. There's nothing wrong with just irons. You don't have to be a cool guy. You know what's cool? Hitting your target is cool. That's what's cool. So, mini rant over. The real difference between 5.56 and 223, as I said, is you can chamber both in a 5.56 chamber. You cannot and or should not chamber 5.56 into a 223 chamber. Most modern sporting rifles are now chambered in 5.56, but there's still a lot that are in 223 Remington, and there's a decent amount that are in 223 Wild, which again is supposed to be a more accurate 223 chamber. But this 62 grain shoots into 1.5 inch for me, and this 55 grain with my rifle and my eyes and my sights and my barometric pressure and my crosswind and my everything, I can put into about a 0.8 inch group. So to give you an idea, that's the tip of my thumb here. It's less than the tip of my thumb here at 100 meters, 5-shot group. And what I found, honestly, with the 62 grain is that it will put most of the rounds, 4 out of 5 rounds, into an area of about the same size, but there will be a flyer. And It just tends to happen. So there's bench rest accuracy and there's practical accuracy. If you're looking for bench rest accuracy, meaning that you want to be able to shoot tiny, tiny little holes at great distances and have tiny little groups, the 223 is probably where you want to be. If you are looking for practical accuracy, meaning the rounds go there, right? Or that. If that's what you're looking for, 5.56 will be just fine for you. And don't believe all the hype. Don't believe all the hype. I do not own an expensive AR. And I shoot with guys and next to guys regularly that own expensive ARs. And my guns run as long and as hard and as fast as anybody else's. I have a DPMS Oracle and I have a Spec Ops Manufacturing upper on a Runner Guns lower. That is my preferred rifle. But that DPMS, man, it'll run too. It runs great. It just chugs, man. I've never, the only stoppages I've ever had on that gun have been ammo related. I'll put it that way. So, and not even close to having a problem hitting man-sized targets. So, and that's at distance. But they both shoot great. And they both have A2 stocks on them and A2 birdcage flash suppressors. And if you want to go second cool and turn your gun into the male version of a Barbie doll and dress it up however you want, go for it. But I would admonish you this. If you're spending money on that and not spending money on this, you're doing it wrong. So you should have a rifle. And we're not going to get on a food tangent here. You should have a rifle. But you shouldn't have an $1,800 rifle that shoots as good as a $500 rifle. Okay. So there's the breakdown on 5.56 versus 2.23. Not scientific, my experiences, my opinions, and as I've said, again, there are many people smarter than me who have put a lot more time and thought into this than I have, that if you want their opinions, I would encourage you to go get them. But for me, in an SHTF situation, I greatly prefer the capability of 5.56 to 2.23 because I have all the practical accuracy that I could ask for and the ability to feed it both rounds, not just one. So, there you go. Have a wonderful evening. Shalom. Yah bless you guys, and I'll talk to y'all later.